Welcome to Behind the Scenes at ID8 Studios, the place where we explore the art of producing art. I'm Steve Sue with
Crystal Backy.
And our guest Conrad Lihilihi. Lihi squared, right?
Lihi squared.
That's so smart. You should make a logo of that, dude.
I know, right? Lihi squared in parentheses.
Yeah, and so you are a filmmaker, and so the topic for this episode is how to become a filmmaker from Hawaii.
Yeah.
But that's pretty general, right? They're producing, directing. Maybe you can tell us just a hair about what your experience has been, what you're doing now.
For sure. First, from Makakilo, Hawaii, I graduated from Damien.
Damien, yeah.
Yeah, Damien grad. We don't have to talk about the year.
Yeah, okay, that's okay.
But
everybody says that. Hey,
I
what
know,
high school
I
you
know what
at?
high school- yeah, exactly.
And then what year? And then who do you know? Because they want to make that connection.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But Damien went to Seattle for college. Went to University of Washington.
Cold.
Yes.
Rainy.
Cold, rainy, complete culture.
Don't they have those like cherry blossom trees?
It's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah,
the purple, pink trees?
Yes.
Right?
Summers are beautiful. The fall is beautiful, you know, the colors. But it's just...
You want to shoot that stuff in slow-mo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you studied film there?
I studied a multitude of things. So going there, we'll even back up. Growing up in Hawaii, everything I heard was you gotta join the military or dance for the tourists. That was the two occupations that was just available and ingrained in my mind. So I had no inkling, nobody of going to college. Nobody in my family went to college. I only ended up at college following a girl from high school.
Wait, you went to college to follow a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up here. I ended up because
that's
of a girl.
him.
Yeah.
See,
him
good
too.
decision, right?
Good decisions.
Normally,
Girls are
I
good.
wouldn't, recommend making big decisions like that, but it gets us to where we are,
That's
you
right.
know.
You girls are
eventually.
evil. I'm telling you, they're dangerous, these girls.
Yeah. Power with great power.
I'm on your
is
side
now.
Great responsibility.
She's out
Hey,
there.
I'm here because of my boyfriend, Alex.
See, there
Yeah.
you go.
So-
You do
That's
some
true.
crazy things
Yeah.
for love.
His bad. Yeah, okay, and he's a filmmaker too.
Yeah,
There you
he's
go.
As
a
are
filmmaker.
you. It's a warm room full of filmmakers here. Okay,
Yes,
so
that's
how do
what-
you
So-
become a filmmaker?
So that brought me to college up in Seattle. Had no idea what I wanted to do. Knew that I had done some projects in high school for film, and shout out to Mr. Mokunui for having the forethought to even have this, because he got a lot of slack by the principal for giving us film projects. But that sparked that interest. Didn't think of it until later on in college when I was just taking everything under the sun.
Like what? What did you study?
My dad's brilliant advice was, you're a full-time student, so you don't have any excuses for not taking the hardest classes available.
Which were?
Since it was Seattle, Microsoft is right there, so I was like, let me
Oh.
do computer science.
But this industry is very technical. Like you have to be a little bit computer person to be a filmmaker now, right?
Yes, I do believe you got to be a bit more well-rounded today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like the MMA. Like you kind of just depend on
You
one.
can't just kick.
Yeah, you
like
got to be a bit of everything.
You got to bite ears, all
exactly.
that stuff.
Because technology has democratized, art, so we have to be students of the craft, But, went to Seattle, studied everything. Computer science, didn't like that. Mechanical engineering, no. Electrical, no. My girlfriend at the time was trying to be a pharmacist, so I just
You
did all
followed the
old
girl,
things.
now she's not your girlfriend anymore.
No,
At the
no.
time. That's like introducing your girlfriend as, this is my present girlfriend. That's not good. Because that means there's a future with somebody else. Get it? No, don't. Never mind.
Yeah, I
Okay,
guess I don't get it.
But so,
It's like, yeah.
yeah, she's not in
Super
agreement.
funny, dude. You're so, okay.
So did all this stuff, was going into my 5th year. I could have majored in anything, but I didn't declare for anything. And I'm on the phone with my mom, and she's like, well, what are you gonna major in? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. I could do anything. But she goes, what do you want to do? And that was the first time anybody in my life has asked that
Really?
question.
Okay. Because
And
that's not a Hawaii thing, right?
No.
It's practical.
Everything is, you should do this. You should do this. Help you graduate, help get the job, help the family.
If you had gone to college on island, do you think you would have had the bravery to step out and do film?
I feel like I would have, one, dropped out of school because of the beach and just the distractions here. I don't know how I would have gotten through school, but I think with the dawn of YouTube, I would have maybe found it later in life, and definitely more casual.
So you found your success in YouTube.
It was it was an avenue to express, but kind of going back to that time, I was in college, and this is dating me. I was in college before YouTube. So, but one thing that we found out, me and my friends, and this is going on while I was studying all this random stuff. Me and my friends in college found out that we could rent out camera equipment from one of the undergrad libraries in the basement. Nobody said anything. We just found out about it.
Yeah.
And so we would rent that out and take turns, because you could only rent it for a week at a time. So we would take turns.
That's kind of like you,
renting
right?
it out.
Yeah. I worked at the Academy of Creative Media at their media center, and we did the same thing for students who were filmmakers, and we would rent out the equipment every week.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like the librarian, right?
Yes,
You had control of all the equipment.
It's like a business.
Yeah. See, and we got to know that person. He knew us very well. He'd be like, oh yeah, take it out again. But we would take these, before YouTube, before anything, like I think the only thing at the time was really to watch videos was like E-Bombs World. And we'd shoot sketches on our own and just go to each other's houses and drink and watch each other's sketches.
So you
and
weren't
just
really
laugh.
even trying to distribute these
No,
things. They were
no.
just self-consumption.
Yeah, the only time I tried to distribute anything was me and one of my friends who did that. We realized that we could rent their equipment, go to clubs on campus, and tell them, we will let us shoot your events and for free, and we will charge $5 per DVD. I'll edit it.
Wow.
$5 a DVD. We'll sell it to your club members.
That's
And
cool.
That's what we did in college.
So how to become a filmmaker in Hawaii? That's a good way to start. Just
Yeah,
start
that's
making
a
stuff
great-
for
that's a
people.
great one.
And they're paying you.
Exactly.
So how many of those did you make?
I don't know.
Lots of them?
We had our regular clubs,
Yeah.
but nothing substantial. It was like some nice food
Okay.
money, grocery money.
Yeah.
But still, that wasn't anything substantial for me to be like, oh, this is what I'm going to do with my life.
Okay,
And
flash
that was
forward.
the first time of like trying to make films though.
Yeah. Well, just me and my friends, but and then those
Yeah.
financial opportunities. But where it became more serious was after that question. My mom's like, "What do you want to do?" Because I'm going to a 5th year undeclared. That's kind of dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So when I found that out, when I heard that and it clicked, I found out that you could create your own major as long as you compile certain majors, and then you create a proposal, take it to the head of the department, and they'll have to approve it. So I put a bunch of my ethnic studies and film classes together, and I proposed first Pacific Islanders in film. They rejected that, said that was too specific, and then I just changed the name to ethnic identities in film, and then they accepted that.
So this was after your POW school,
No, this was going into my 5th year at,
okay.
I was at University of Washington.
but you're trying to make films funded from here.
No, this is before anything. I had no film connection to Hawaii. This is just me, broke college student in Seattle, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do.
But
what I'm gonna graduate with.
and you get your degree on that,
Yeah.
and then what do you do with that degree?
So that degree, I wrote a script for my dissertation. It was graduated with ethnic identities in film, and then my first job out of college was at Microsoft. It was a temp agency, and if you don't know, if you aren't familiar with temp agencies, it's the agency that get you the job, but you hire them. You're hired through the temp agency.
Yeah.
And so I worked at Microsoft. I was on a 1-year contract.
To do
at
what?
Microsoft. Oh, it was the worst. It was just creating a little. They had a closet full of new hire papers that were never filed correctly.
Oh, it wasn't to make film or video.
No,
Oh,
it was what you
Wait, time out. I gotta call you to the map, brother, because we were talking about how does a Hawaii person get
I'ma
in the
get
film.
there.
Well,
I'ma
let's
get
get
there.
there because I want to know. Do you want to know?
I do. I
Yeah,
want to know.
Let's turn the corner then. Okay,
Let's
so
be intentional about how do you become a
So-
filmmaker? Because I know you've done some great stuff.
this is I'll tell you this story to see where I'm at, and then
Okay.
the logistics of actually just making a filmmaker is actually really simple. But the point of this story is the drive it takes to become a filmmaker.
Okay.
Right? So I had the 1 year contract. Contract was coming to an end. They wanted to hire me full-time staff. I go to lunch with my manager, and she's offering me these positions, and I'm like, no, I graduated in film. Let me do something creative. Can I go to the Xbox department? Can I do something? Yeah. And she goes, it dawns on her. She's like, yeah, you graduated in film. Let me introduce you to my sister. Turned out her sister was the assistant director for the TV show The Office.
Okay.
And so she links us up together over email, and the sister's like, you know what? If you're serious about a career in the film industry, forget that staff position at Microsoft, move to LA, I'll get you on the show as a PA. You won't have to do anything because we already have our staff PAs, so you'll get on, you just get to shadow everybody. I'll pay you as a PA. The money's not good and the hours are worse, but it's your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And so I did that. I tried to sold what I could, kind of just survived, moved on to LA with $100.
So what would be your advice to people who just go ask anybody, like, for any jobs in film?
It would, and that's the thing. I think you'd have to even pinpoint what you'd want to do, because if it's of a creative position, technology has democratized filmmaking to where we can do things. I mean, we're sitting here with a laptop and some equipment doing a podcast. You know, you could write, shoot, edit anything on a phone. So if you're just talking about the general, how do I become a filmmaker? I think technology has given that access. If you're looking for a career in film, then a creative career comes from you usually creating your stuff. I think the most valuable and most simple advice that I got when I was working on The Office was I would shadow the director, shadow the writer, and I asked them, how do you become a director? How do you become a writer? And they would say the same thing in their own way. They'd say, the writers would say, if you want to write, just write. If you want to direct, just direct. If you want to produce, just produce.
So that's the moral of your story is, for a Hawaii person, just start doing it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And I think a lot of, we shackle our minds in different ways, whether it be we look at the end product and say we can't do that, or we write a big project that we know we can't shoot today.
So how do you get over that?
It all goes back to, one, just doing it, but also understanding. Like my first film, The Device, 2013, it's just two guys running around. It's about two robbers who are breaking into a place looking for a device, and once they find it, it just kind of turns their world upside down.
Okay.
And so it's really two guys running around a house. But that got me, that film, which cost me $30 to make, and I shot it on a Canon T3i.
Yeah.
It got me meetings with NBC. They flew me to, NBC flew me, it got into the NBC Universal Shortcuts Festival, which got me to New York, got me all these meetings with NBC execs. It opened up so many doors, and the key was just do it. Just doing it.
Yeah, okay.
Because Hawaii, yes, there's that physical distance of Hollywood is there, LA is there, and Hawaii is here. But again, it goes back to the beauty of the technology, is that it has democratized everything. Hollywood, LA is not the same anymore, especially post-pandemic.
Okay, so if you had to do it over again, would you go to Washington, to LA, or would you just have done it here?
I would go to Washington again, of course, just because I mean I would have never had the experience, have the friends, and that, I think that's the important of film school, not necessarily the learning part, but the experiences and the people that you meet, right? I understand the difficulty of being a filmmaker in Hawaii because you're not necessarily surrounded by the like-minded people to create these projects. The benefit of me doing it in LA is I could hit up anybody, and I know that they're in LA for this, for acting, for like here. How many people can you really hit up to be like, I'm shooting this thing this weekend. You wanna do this? In LA, I've got, I know everybody's there for that reason.
So, but if you're recommending for somebody from Hawaii to just go to LA and get LinkedIn, right? Yeah. Then what happens with somebody that doesn't have money to start with? I mean, how do they get there?
Yeah. If you're looking to just create in Hawaii, I'd say find like-minded people and just start shooting stuff. You see it with, I mean, the comedy influencers, 808 Viral, and even that may not be what you want to create, but they're getting together to create. And then once you have the views, then you can monetize the views.
So there's tribes here, and you can join up a tribe and just do it, right?
There's so many different ways. If you want to do doc, if you want to do narrative, if you want to get big on IG, if you want to get big on TikTok, in terms of a career filmmaker in Hawaii, I mean, it's hard to say because just everybody's journey is different. And the unfortunate reality of Hawaii is if you're not working on one of the few shows out here, you're not really working. There's no other thing other than, we know the Magnum, we know the Doogie, we know, and then maybe the once in a while Lifetime movie that comes here.
Yeah.
That's difficult because it's the same people working, so what you have to get into almost like a more tight-knit circle.
What are their chances if you just go like prove yourself on streaming? Because you kind of in a way did that yourself. You shot a movie for $30, you entered into a festival, and then
got connections out of that.
Yeah,
I'd rather go that route, but at the same time I understand like how we were even talking offline, how do you it's a challenge in and of itself to make a film. So it's like which challenge do you want? Do you want to try to break into the industry? And I'm in Hawaii. Maybe I go to ACM, or maybe I know somebody who works on Magnum, and I'm like, hey, can you get me on? Like you're just kind of in their head. Can you just get me on a day, and then maybe finally one day you get on a day.
Yeah. And
then you work your butt off to where like, yo, bring Crystal back. She was cool. You know what I mean? And then that's how it is, because that's how when I was on The Office, I worked my butt off on the season there. That the people who I met there got me on another show, and the people on that show got me on another show, and it just kind of snowballs after that. But it is a foot in the door kind of thing, I think. On the industry side, it is a foot. You just need a foot in the door, one connection, just kind of like sneak in there however you can, whether you're in LA or whether you're in Hawaii.
So
that's the same.
Is your career now kind of use built for LA? It sounds like you have a lot of connections there, and it would sound like you would have to continue to harvest those relationships.
It's for where I am right now and what I'm doing right now, I'm good in LA. I'm sure as my career progresses, the doors are going to open, and the people I'm going to meet, it's going to make sense at that time.
Yeah.
But in terms of the level that I'm at right now, I feel I couldn't ask for a better network or support system who not only believes in what I'm doing, but is supportive of my skill and my voice and the stories.
Do you desire to be here more in Hawaii, or do you desire to travel and do projects around?
I definitely want to travel, but every time I think about coming back home, it's a tough thing because it's expensive. It's different. It's not the same Hawaii that I left.
Yeah.
And I know all my stories will be in and about Hawaii and the people of Hawaii, even if it's not shot here.
Then the asset's here, because if you're doing like indigenous people stories, then indigenous people are here.
Well,
right?
there's also, and this is part of, if you want, like the whole write what you know thing is a part of my experience and relationship is Hawaii is being away, the diaspora. And I think that's another narrative that isn't as explored. Yes, we know, and so I have stories that I want to write, that I'm writing about, current issues, of course, of living in, and then there's also a lot of the stories that I do and write are about evolving and living outside of Hawaii. And because I do believe, as much as I want to come back, moving away was invaluable in terms of perspective. And I believe I tell everybody from Hawaii, like, at least live 1 year away, just to gain that perspective. Because I think a lot of the crabs in a barrel mentality would go out the window when we realize how small and how amazing Hawaii is by moving out,
All right then,
Yeah.
Conrad, we just figured it out. How to be a Hawaii person, get into film. You took a very interesting route through Seattle, LA, back to Hawaii, and probably around that circle a number of times into many locations in your future, I'm sure. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Yes, of course. No.
Conrad.
Thank you.
Lihi, or Lihi Squared.
Lihi Squared.
How do they find you?
Instagram at C Lihilihi. C for my first name, Lihilihi for my last.
Right on, brother.
The only one on there, so that's really the easiest. And then my website with everything on there is on the IG.
Okay, sounds good. And Crystal, where do they find us?
At BTS at ID8.
Yeah. Aloha.